So now let's look at the absorption of the products of digestion. So enzymes in the gut have now converted the large insoluble molecules which have digested into small soluble molecules. These digested food molecules are then transported across the lining of the gut into the blood or the lymph in a process known as absorption. They can then be distributed to the parts of the body where they'll be used, which is called assimilation. Most of the absorption happens in the ileum, which we're going to now look at. This is the lower part of the small intestine, and the ileum is very well adapted to perform the task. The reasons for this are as follows. It is very long, it's about 6 meters in length in a human adult, and so food takes a long time to pass through it, and there is enough time for the absorption of these small molecules to occur. Secondly, the surface of the ileum is highly folded, which gives it a much larger surface area than absorption from a simple tube. And now we're going to look in further detail at this folding. Okay, just going into a bit more depth. So the lining of the ileum is folded into hundreds of thousands of tiny finger-like projections, which we now see in this animation, called villi, which project out into the liquid digested food. The structure of a villus, which is the singular of the villi, and its adaptations to increase absorption are shown in the animation we see before us. So what happens is, essentially, if we go and zoom in a bit closer, you can see that we've got the small molecules which have been digested going through the very thin layer of the villi and going straight into the capillaries and into the bloodstream. So following the absorption by the small intestine, the contents of the gut are a little more than water and pretty much indigestible matter. Most of the remaining water is then reabsorbed into the bloodstream from the colon or large intestine, which is the next step, and also some minerals and vitamins are absorbed here. But primarily the villi are involved in the absorption of these small molecules due to its very one cell thick nature and very large amount of blood in terms of the small thin capillaries. So you notice in terms of the structure of the villi, if we go through it, here we have this layer here which is one cell thick. This is known as the epithelium. So that means there is a short distance of absorption to occur by either active, passive, or passive diffusion, basically depending on what kind of molecule it is. And you can also clearly see we have these capillaries here which lead to the transport of glucose, especially from carbohydrate breakdown, and amino acids from protein breakdown. And that in essence is how we absorb large amounts of small molecules through the small intestine, which then get assimilated into the body.